everybody. Welcome to Wild Wandering. I'm Janice, and today I'm going to go out into the wild. I'm going to wander around and look for things in nature that are interesting and have something to teach us. So the last time I looked at animal signs, which is evidence of animals that were in an area, but I didn't see them, but they left some sort of evidence showing me that they were there. Now this time, I'm going to specifically look for evidence of the food chain and animals eating. So I'll be looking for plant eater evidence, which we call herbivores. I'll be looking for omnivore evidence, which is animals that eat both plants and animals. And I'll be looking for evidence of carnivores, which are the meat eaters. So come along with me. It's going to be really interesting, and let's go see what we can find. It's a beautiful riparian area here. All living things need sunlight energy in order to produce food. And all of that starts with a process called photosynthesis that happens in the leaves of green plants inside the chlorophyll that's able to take that sunlight energy and then convert it into sugar, which is what is the basis of the food chain. And then all the other animals can feed off of that original energy. Okay, so I have found the first evidence of an animal eating. And do you know what this is? Yep, if you're thinking it's an animal dropping, you are correct. Now the scientific word for that is scat. It starts with an S, ends with a T, comes out of you, and it comes out of me. I know what you're thinking, but don't call it that. Be scientific and call it scat. Now this is right in the middle of the trail. So this animal wanted everybody to know it was here. It looks like it came from a mammal, and there is fur in this. It's also segmented, and I just happen to know that this came from a bobcat. There's a whole bunch of this on the trail. There's another one right here. Another scat, and it also looks like bobcat. So, wow, this is like Bobcat Trail. I'm going to collect a little bit of this, and we're going to move on and see what else we can find. So here we have evidence of an animal that loves to eat pine cones. Wow, look at this. Here's the pine cone that they're eating. These are Jeffrey pine cones. And look what they've done. It looks to me like this is evidence of a squirrel. Could be a chipmunk. Something with big teeth that loves to eat seeds that are inside pine cones. Because look at this. They pull off all these outer parts of the pine cone, like here. See that? And then they take the seeds out, and what's left is nothing, just the inside of the pine cone. So this is evidence of a squirrel for sure. Very cool. So I've just found some really cool evidence of something eating what looks like a bird. These are the remains of a bird. So this is the bones. Still got a little feather hanging on there. Tiny pieces of what's left of a bird. There's a feather. It kind of looks like a dove. Oh, and look up. It's an eggshell. Wow. Check that out. Huh. Somewhere there must be a nest. Looks to me like an animal. What animal would eat a bird? It'd have to be pretty fast in order to catch a bird. Let's think on that. Has to be some sort of meat eater. Here's another piece of animal evidence that is really cool. Do you see this? Can you tell what that is? This is a tiny little skull. Look at the size compared to my finger. Can you see the little teeth? Right there. Oh, and here's the rest of it. This is the jaw. It has teeth on it too. This is a tiny little animal. Oh, here's some evidence. Yeah, this looks like acorns that may have been eaten by maybe a ground squirrel. You can see all the little pieces, the shards that they've torn apart. And this one's really nice. This is showing a live oak acorn. Yeah, this is evidence of ground squirrels chewing on acorns. Right here on the trail, we have some evidence of something munching. Can you see it? There on the top of this branch, it's just snipped off. And this is what deer will do with their front teeth, is just bite off the top of a branch. And here's a little more evidence to show that this probably was a deer. You see how the bark on this willow is really kind of rubbed off? This is what deer will do when they have velvet on their antlers. They'll rub them on trees, and it leaves this mark where you can see all the bark getting rubbed off. So there we go. Evidence of a deer eating. Oh, look here. We have evidence of another acorn, but this time it looks like it was eaten by a bird. Just by the way, it looks like a bird took its beak and pecked right into that little acorn. And we have some droppings too. Wow, check this out. Holy cow, this is a really big bone. Now, look how big it is compared to my hand. Look at this. This can only belong to a very large animal. And this is a deer bone, a mule deer. Looks like it's part of the leg. It's got some tendon hanging off of it right there. Wow. But, you know, I look around and I don't see any other bones in the area. It's not the whole deer. So that makes me think that this was a kill from a mountain lion, but somewhere else. And probably picked up by some other scavenger, something else that found it and dragged it away. Could be a fox or coyote. Wow, what a great find. So, evidence of a meat eater. So we found lots of great evidence of animals eating, and we are ready to put together our food chains. So let's build a simple food chain. We already learned that all the energy that comes to the earth starts with the sun. Sunlight energy flows into the plants, which we call producers, because plants produce their own food from sunlight energy. And we found lots of pine trees down there and pine cones. That energy then gets transferred to the herbivores who eat the pine cones. And we found all these pine cones eaten by the squirrels. And they are consumers because they are consuming that sunlight energy from the pine cone. Then the energy flows to the top of the chain here with the bobcat, who is our carnivore, and he is a consumer, and he's the one that is eating the squirrels. Let's look at another food chain we found today. We found evidence of oak trees and acorns, and of course those are producers that produce their own food from sunlight energy that flows into the plants, and then it is eaten by, in our case, looked like maybe a harvest mouse or a dove, a bird. And we can tell by looking at these little acorns that have been eaten. And these are omnivores, meaning that they eat plants and animals. So the energy from them is then transferred over to the carnivores that eat them. And we found evidence of what is possibly two carnivores that are eating the mice and the birds. So we found little mouse skulls, and if it's nighttime, it's probably an owl that is eating the mice. And we also found the pieces in the bones of a bird. We have feathers and an eggshell, and if it's daytime, that is likely to be a hawk or an eagle. So let's look at the last food chain that we found. We've already learned that the food chain starts with plants that get energy from the sun. And these are producers because plants produce their own food from sunlight energy. And then that energy is transferred into herbivores, who are animals that eat plants. And in this case, we found evidence of a mule deer, and right here on the tip, it looks like a mule deer may have nipped off part of that stem. So that energy from the mule deer then is transferred to a carnivore who eats the deer, and our evidence of that is this deer bone that we found. Really amazing evidence, and that mountain lion is the top of the food chain. So thanks for joining me today on Wild Wanderings. I hope you had a good time. I know I sure did. We found so much great evidence of animals eating, and we made so many food chains from it. And you can do this too next time you go out in nature. So if you like this channel, please give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you next time when I go wild wandering. Bye for now.